Unit 3, non-criminal calls for service. 531.1, describe how to provide assistance during a non-criminal incident. Present a professional command presence, introduce yourself, listen closely to understand the request, and offer official referrals. Example, DCF, Department of Children and Families, Clerk of Court, Veterans Affairs, if the problem cannot be resolved directly by law enforcement. This is discussed on page 183. 531.2, describe how to lawfully instruct the public to assist. This is found on page 184. Under Florida law, you may command assistance from bystanders during emergencies. For example, a rescue or overcoming violent resistance. Evaluate their skills and willingness. Provide explicit instructions, and never command an action that compromises their safety or breaks the law. 532.1, describe how to conduct a well-being check. This can be found on page 185. Note vehicle locations, check for signs of inactivity. Example, overflowing mailboxes or forced entry. Look through windows for signs of distress. Attempt contact by knocking, calling, and interview neighbors or property managers. 532.2, describe when you need to provide immediate assistance during a well-being check. This can be found on page 185. If there's a reasonable belief that a person is in immediate danger, you may use forced entry to access the property, call for backup or emergency services, and provide immediate first aid and update dispatch. 532.3, describe how to conduct a security check. This can be found on page 186. Park at a distance. Examine entry boundaries with spotlights, flashlights, check doors, windows for tampering, run checks on suspicious vehicles, and interview property owners regarding any noted property damage or criminal indicators. 533.1, describe how to deliver a death notification in a professional manner. This can be found on pages 187 and 188. Locate the next of kin using databases like David, ECI, make an in-person visit with backup or a chaplain, maintain cultural sensitivity, state clearly that the death occurred, answer questions about the circumstances it permitted, and offer follow-up support resources. 534.1, describe how to assist a person with an animal complaint. This can be found on page 189. Identify immediate safety threats. Call EMS for injuries. Determine the animal's state, loose or contained, and request specialized resources like animal control or the FWC. Use appropriate equipment, force if public safety is threatened. And 535.1, describe your role during a fire-related incident. This can be found on page 190. Notify dispatch immediately. Coordinate necessary area evacuations with the supervisor. And once fire personnel arrive, maintain crowd control, secure perimeters, and assist with traffic management. This can be found on 190. 535.2, describe how to respond to a motor vehicle fire. Pages 190 and 191, this is where this is found. Park up, wind at a safe distance. Use your vehicle to block traffic, scan for trapped occupants, and begin rescue efforts. Manage a perimeter with cones or flares. Use the correct fire extinguisher, for instance, foam for wood or paper, CO2 for liquids, and provide first aid. 535.3, determine when an incident is a false alarm of a fire. This can be found on page 191. An incident is a false alarm when an alarm system triggers, but no reasonable fire threat exists. It is not an offense if caused by a system malfunction. It is a criminal offense only if someone intentionally and without cause circulated the false alarm. 536.1, identify the procedure for handling lost, stolen, or recovered property. Lost, document descriptions, values, and general report and enter serial numbers into FCIC, NCIC. Stolen, run database researches, process for evidence such as fingerprints and DNA, photograph items, place a 90-day hold on items found at pawn shops, or submit items as evidence. Recovered, inventory items, complete property receipts, and store or return them to the owner if they have no forensic value. And 537.1, this is found on page 194, describe how to respond to property boundary disputes. Recognize that boundary disputes are civil in nature. Advise the disagreeing neighbors to resolve the matter outside of the criminal justice system by obtaining an official property survey and seeking remedies in civil court. 537.2, describe how to respond to a landlord-tenant dispute. This is found on pages 194 to 195. Determine if a valid lease exists. Explain that landlords cannot lock out tenants or shut off utilities without a formal eviction process through the court. Advise both parties of the civil nature of the dispute and refer them to county civil court. 537.3, describe how to safely respond to repossession of property during a dispute. This is found on page 195. Under Florida law, a creditor can conduct a self-help repossession only if it can be done without a breach of the peace. If a breach of the peace occurs or the debtor objects, the repossessor must stop and obtain a writ of replevin. The officer's role is strictly to maintain the peace, not to assist either party in taking or keeping the property. 537.4, describe the process for motor vehicle repair disputes. This is found on page 195 and 196. Under the Florida Motor Vehicle Repair Act, if a customer refuses to pay a repair shop for services, the shop can hold the vehicle via a possessory lien to recover the vehicle during a dispute. The customer can post a bond with the clerk of the court, de-escalate the scene, maintain order, and explain the civil mechanisms available to both parties. 538.1, describe how to mediate a civil disturbance. Separate the disputing parties. This is found on 196. Project a calm and neutral command presence and actively listen to both sides. Identify the core conflict, avoid taking a side, and explain relevant local ordinances or state statutes while guiding the parties toward a peaceful, voluntary resolution. 538.2, this is found on pages 196 and 197. Execute a civil standby. Describe how to maintain order during a civil standby. Execute a civil standby by maintaining a visible presence to prevent violence or property damage while an individual recovers personal belongings, serves an injunction, or complies with a court order. Remain neutral, ensure the interaction is brief, and intervene only if a law is violated or the peace is breached. 539.1, describe the role of law enforcement when responding to crowds. This is located on 197. Protect life and property, maintain order, and safeguard the constitutional right to peaceful assembly. Continually report crowd size, mood, behavior, and any presence of weapons or instigators to dispatch and supervisors. 539.2, determine the threat level of a crowd. This is on 198. Assess whether the crowd is passive compliant, vocal non-compliant, or active hostile. Look for warning signs of escalation, such as synchronized chanting, throwing projectiles, masking faces, or aggressive posturing against law enforcement lines.